Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moodie.
And I'm Wajahat, literally finding the only place in the Poconos Mountains that would allow me to have the internet and do this show live. Evil doesn't sleep, so I can't rest either. Folks, I'm wearing a Costco shirt. This is the only place that has internet. And just to let you know where I am, here's the community pool. I'm in an office. These people were so nice. They were about to use this room right now to do their Easter party. They saw me. The lady took pity on me. She goes, I'll just move it to the office. So this is where we are, Danielle. But this is the state of America.
Look, this is Waj's dedication to Democracy-ish because we could not do a show on Monday because he was driving to the mountains.
Yes.
And so here we are. And folks, just a reminder, we did our first Substack Live together. We did it, and it's up now on both of our Substack pages. So if you have not followed Waj's Substack, which blew up this week, The Left Hook, Waj, how many subscribers did you get in a day?
I got 10,000. I went from 55,000 subscribers to 66,000 now, which is big for me.
Extraordinary. And it's also up on my Substack, The Damn Digest. If you are not following us there, you should. And that video that we did yesterday was really fun. And we're going to look into doing more. So welcome, folks, to, I don't even know, this place that we're in. But we'll start off where the week began, which was probably, I don't know, Waj, I said that this meeting was probably the darkest moment in this regime thus far. Donald Trump casually chilling with a dictator, just two dictators in the Oval Office talking about kidnapping and deporting American citizens, aka homegrowns, and asking Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, to build 5 more torture facilities in the version of CCOT. The response to that was wild laughter.
Yep, wild laughter. Here's just two old buddies who grifted off of Bitcoin, who are perfectly fine going after the most marginalized of their communities to prove that they're real men who are tough on crime, even though they are perfectly fine, palling around with criminals. And in the case of Donald Trump, being a convicted criminal and a man who was held liable for rape and also for fraud. And here they are just celebrating, having a great old time, even though this was before, folks, we found out the good news. We'll talk about it, that Abrego Garcia is alive. At this time, we did not know if he was alive or not. At this time, this administration was perfectly fine sending 238, still is perfectly fine, sending 238 individuals, kidnapping them, and sending them potentially to their death forever in an El Salvador torture center. I don't even want to call it a prison. And as Danielle reminded me yesterday, no lawyers come there. Nope. There's no oversight whatsoever. It's like a foreign gulag. And your taxpayer dollars, my taxpayer dollars, went to this man on the left, Nayib Bukele, $6 million to kidnap and house these immigrants. And it just doesn't end on immigrants. What Danielle and I have been saying for the past couple of years, because, look at our melanin. We know, our peoples know that it never ends with just the undocumented. It doesn't just end with the Japanese during World War II. It doesn't end with the Mexicans. It doesn't end with the blacks. It doesn't end with the gays. It doesn't end with the feminists. It doesn't end with the Muslims. Fascists come after everyone. And this week, folks, he said it. I'm open to sending U.S. citizens to these foreign gulags. And not only are they stopping undocumented immigrants, illegal people who are, legal immigrants here, they kept in Florida a U.S. citizen. Danielle, did you see that video? It just kind of breaking.
Yes.
This young man was going to work. He was driving to work in Tallahassee.
Juan is his name.
Jose Garcia, I believe. Check it out. This man was driving to work, folks.
Yeah, we talked about it. Mm-hmm.
Citizen. Literally went to work. They picked him up for driving while brown. The judge is there saying, you know what? You have the documents. There was someone there with a birth certificate, a Social Security, saying this man is a U.S. citizen, and the Trump administration overruled the judge and said, nah, keep him for 2 more days, even though they knew he was a citizen who had done nothing wrong. Thankfully, last night he was released. And if you want to see something both chilling and heartwarming, see his embrace of his mother once he was released. I don't know if you've seen this video. They're just holding each other.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I'm like, oh, this happens in dictatorships. Nope, folks, Florida, United States of America. They're coming after everyone.
Same. Yeah, I covered that story yesterday on the Danielle Moodie show, and that was before he was released, talking about his mother and the justice advocate that had brought his birth certificate and his Social Security card to Judge Riggins in Tallahassee, Florida, which is where he was stopped. Judge Riggins holding up the birth certificate to the light, feeling it, seeing that it's a seal, seeing that it was authentic, but did not have jurisdiction because he was in the hands already of immigration. And immigration told them to hold this man. And so what the funny thing, and not funny, haha, is that Waj, he wasn't even driving the car that was pulled over. He was a passenger. Right?
Thank you, Snow.
So he was a passenger in the car. He was not even driving the car and was pulled out because he is brown. He was in Florida and they have their new quote unquote immigration law that were arresting him for illegally entering Florida where he works. Born in Georgia, I believe. And it was just, I mean, this is where it begins. Folks, before we dive in even further, if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please do so now. Subscribe, like, and comment, and hit the little bell up in the corner so that you never miss an episode. We are trying to hit here 25,000 subscribers. We're at 22.8 and climbing. So if you are new here, love to have you. Welcome and subscribe. It costs you nothing. All right. So,
and I promise, folks, if you're tuning in for the first time, I know a lot of people enjoyed Danielle and my Substack Live and have jumped on to the Left Hook and Damn Digest. I assure you, I actually am a professional adult human. I have a home. And next week, I will actually have a good setup.
Be there.
But for now, Costco shirt.
Community pool.
But democracy has to listen. The rebellion. We're children of immigrants. Danielle is a child of Jamaican immigrants. I'm a child of Pakistani immigrants. We got to get it done. We stretched that dollar to make it 20.
100%. So Waj mentioned the fact that we know now that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is alive, proof of life. And, you know, yesterday, Waj, when you and I were talking, I think I've said all week long, this was one of the hardest weeks for me emotionally. I was not sleeping this week at all. And just having like constant nightmares and anxiety about what is happening in this country, but particularly Donald Trump just ominously saying homegrowns are next and sending to this torture facility because, again, it's not a prison. So Chris Van Hollen, senator in Maryland, where Abrego Garcia lives, decided that he was getting on a plane and going to El Salvador because he wanted to get access to Abrego Garcia. The Trump administration refused to provide any information with regard to proof of life, and that he was okay. He gets there. Van Hollen gets to El Salvador, and he meets with the vice president. He meets with folks at the U.S. Embassy. He tries to go into the prison and is denied access. And but what's amazing is that random Republican Representative Riley Moore of West Virginia decided to take a little torture field trip and goes down to El Salvador, is allowed into CCOT. And was he going there, Waj, to assess the situation, make sure that these people were being treated like human beings, that there were some laws that this country was abiding by, that the people that were seemingly deported, 75% of which have absolutely no criminal record right at all, are innocent people. 22% did so much as shoplift and nonviolent crime, and were kidnapped and deported to this horrific prison. What was Rep. Riley Moore doing there? Was he doing anything, of note?
A Republican in 2025 can never miss up a grotesque display of human rights violations if it means giving up an awesome selfie. So, oh, look, what a shock, what a surprise. I personally think Kristi Noem did it better in the $60,000 Rolex as she's cosplaying as a tough guy. Here he is wearing a collared shirt and a suit, again, in front of this gulag where they are displaying these individuals, many of them, if they indeed are folks who came to this country without any due process. They have them as individuals who are lined up like they were in the concentration camp during World War II. This is disgusting.
There.
This is grotesque. Hey, Danielle's back. This is disgusting. This is grotesque. Folks, they are literally taking selfies. It's like tourism of a genocide, tourism of a concentration camp. Look at us, we're so tough. There are photos, folks, comparing these photos like you're seeing right now to what was happening during World War II with concentration camps, of how the Nazis posed next to Jews who are starving, folks. Look at the compare and contrast.
I
it's
mean,
the exact same. It is disgusting and it's vile. And one other thing I'll say, it's not just Republicans who were given access, right? So Chris Van Hollen went there. We're going to talk about him. Some good news, but he was initially denied access. You know who was given access in addition to this Republican?
who?
It's going to make you social media influencers. Bukele allowed social media influencers on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube to tour the CCOT facility.
Oh my God. I did not know that.
Yep.
I did not know that.
And also, once some Heather Cox Richardson told me when you and I talked about that 75% number, 60 Minutes about a week and a half ago said 75% of these 238 men they found have zero criminal charges. She said Bloomberg found that it's actually 90%.
90%. Yeah. Yeah. So I need to change my number. So, wow. On top of that disgusting, depraved news, and I just want to say that is exactly why I was like in such a dark place this week, because you wanted to believe that we left that kind of depravity during the times of enslavement. You wanted to believe we left that kind of depravity and evil during the time of Hitler in the 1930s. And you realize that no, it's always here, right?
Yep.
It's always around. And the fact that the media, the corporate mainstream media, does not do their job to make these comparisons to that kind of white torture tourism.
Yep. White
right?
torture tourism. That's what it is.
White torture tourism, which, folks, tomorrow I will have a video up because I do delve into this more, because I just found it. So I said, where have I seen this before? Right? And it was the Holocaust. It was during slavery, and the pictures and the images that would come out. And it is just like, what you have to lack like an actual, I know that we say these people are heartless, but you honestly have to lack morality, lack empathy. Like, you have to be some type of sociopath to pose like that in front of human beings that are in the most desperate and calamitous situation possible and think that that's cool.
Danielle, just to give a teaser to what I assume you're going to show tomorrow, and I hope people see this video that Danielle does. We haven't talked about it, but I think this is where she's going. as a student of American history. There are photos, folks, of mothers with their children during the weekdays, during the weekends after church, who bring the entire family to take photos next to the dead body of a black man hanging from a tree.
Thank you, Waj. That is the teaser for my video that will be up tomorrow.
I
Look
have
out
seen
for it.
these photos. This happened in the 20th century, in the
Correct.
19th century,
Yep.
with the resurgence of the KKK in some places, yep, even after the Civil War, when certain black people used to be mutilated, beaten, hung, and killed, they used to take photos
Yes.
with the corpse. The mothers, the
Right.
nice white American moms who believed in God and made apple pie, brought their children. They used to
Yes.
have picnics. Picnics. If you can ever catch a clip of Toni Morrison, the late great Toni Morrison, she talked about this. And much like Danielle, she was asking the interviewer, she goes, my black girlfriends, people of color, no matter what happens to us, I cannot imagine a situation ever where I would ever delight in the destruction of another human being, where I would ever call another friend and say, "Hey, come and see this. What does it do to a person?
Yep.
Dehumanization. What does it happen to our psyche when you dehumanize someone to such an extent
Yep.
that you can be a God-fearing, good Christian, good mom, good dad, pay your taxes, help your neighbors, and then look at these individuals. Can we go back to that photo real quick?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And knowing full well what we just heard, that 90% of these individuals have no criminal charges, that they were kidnapped, that for a fact Abrego Garcia is innocent, for a fact that this judge 5 years ago in Maryland gave him withholding of removal, for a fact that the Trump administration itself said he was sent as an administrative error, for a fact that one man is an innocent man who was just picked up because he had an autism tattoo, for a fact there was a gay barber who just had like a rose madrid or a flower tattoo, for a fact that these men are languishing in prison, being tortured, separated from their family, and you go, it's fine. You say, like Steve Bannon said a week ago, sure, 10 or 11 of these people might be a nice gardener, but you know what? They might be innocent, but that's the price. What happens to you? This is what racism does. This is what white supremacy does. It robs you of your dignity, of your humanity, of your decency. It is ultimately, folks, as we always say on the show, self-destructive. Sorry for that rant. I just want to tease out what I'm assuming Danielle will say tomorrow.
That is it. Like I went through because, and just to add a little bit more, not only did white families use lynchings, and this was over a 70-year period of time in America where this was just the norm, the 1830s to the early 1920s. And the NAACP was formed around this because every time a man was lynched, they would hang out a flag that said a man was lynched today. But they used to make postcards.
Oh.
They used to make postcards and send them, right? And you want to talk about innocent people. These are people that may have been business owners. And a white man came in and said, "We want your business." And they said, "No, we're not going to sell." And so they would be lynched. This could be somebody that it was never guilty people. It was always innocent people, women, children, and men. And white Americans would send postcards and have picnics as black bodies hang from trees. So you want to talk about fucking depravity and sociopathic behavior and what that does, not just to those people, but to generations. And you want to understand why they don't want to teach American history, accurate American history, why they want to hide it and lie about it, because you, in order to change things, would need to face them. And
Yep.
America, particularly white America, has never wanted to face its legacy. Because let me tell you something, racism is not black history. That is white history. What we have done, black history, is how we have been able to survive that sociopathic and depraved behavior over generations.
It's and what's happening right now, folks, is a modern day lynching. It's the same. No due process. They're not people anyway. They're just immigrants. Who cares? They're criminals. We don't have to provide evidence. They're born that way. Pam Bondi now says she just makes shit up. Human trafficker. He's a member of a foreign terrorist organization. He brought down the Titanic. We lost Vietnam because of Abrego Garcia. They could say anything they want. And yet, finally, folks, this is why. I mean, it's so depressing, Danielle. You know, as a person of color, you know this, I know this. In our communities, I'm sure you've heard this before. Wow, did you see that TV show? Did you see that play? They humanized us, and it always bothered me because I sat there and I said, "Aren't we humans?" But the bar is so low that when we see a complex portrayal of our people that is not as a villain, a terrorist, a gang member, a violent criminal, we go, wow, they humanized us, because that's what dehumanization does. They take the worst aspects of our communities, of human beings and traits, and use that to paint all of us as a problem that must be solved. And what is a problem for MAGA right now? Black people, women, Muslims, immigrant, brown folks. So what are they doing to us? Disappearing us, like they're disappearing DEI and they're disappearing immigrants. But there was one senator, and a quick rant before, sorry, I'm in a ranty mood, perhaps because I'm in a community pool in the mountains. But with all that we've said, Danielle, and I want to criticize the Democrats for this.
Mm-hmm.
Without fear or favor, if you're joining us for the first time, Danielle and I don't bend the knee. We give props to people who deserve props. We'll take on Democrats, liberals, progressives, conservatives, libertarians, anyone, even ourselves when we're wrong. Democrats knew this was heinous. Democrats knew this was disgusting. Democrats knew Trump was a racist. Democrats knew he was cracking down on immigrants, legal immigrants. Democrats knew he was going to crack down on undocumented immigrants, who, by the way, give $100 billion of taxes. Donald Trump and his billionaire friends pay zero. They knew for the past few weeks they were going after pro-Palestinian activists, like a mouse. I'm sorry. Only a few of them spoke out. Why? They were listening to their corporate consultants. They were looking at the polls, and they said, this might be bad politics for us. So they kept quiet. And this week, finally, because of Abrego Garcia, because he was humanized, finally, one senator from Maryland said, I'm going to go there. And my take to you, Danielle, if I'm being too harsh, let me know. Why was Van Hollen the
only one?
Am I being too harsh? You all let me know if I'm being too harsh.
You know, here's the thing. I have no idea, but it's the same question that I asked during the joint address. Why was Representative Al Green the only one to stand up during Donald Trump's joint address and protest? Why was he the only? Why the rest of them using fucking, auction paddles and thinking that that is actual civil action and disobedience? It's not. So why wasn't there and why weren't, there a plane load of all of the senators saying, you know what, they take one from your state, but they could take somebody from any of our states and we're all going, right? That's the problem with Democrats. They honestly don't understand what unified action should look like. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, and it drives me absolutely nuts. But thankfully, Chris Van Hollen didn't leave until he was given access to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And he wrote this on social media and said, I said my main goal of this trip was to meet with Kilmar. Tonight I had that chance. I have called his wife, Jennifer, to pass along his message of love. I look forward to providing a full update upon my return.
That's great news.
And I will tell you that last night when the news broke, and I posted on social, I posted on Blue Sky, and I think, I forget what I said. I said, oh, this is what I said. I was like, the fact that so many of us had doubts that Mr. Garcia was alive,
myself included,
speaks to the level of depravity of this administration. The next step is securing his safe release and the hundreds wrongfully kidnapped by this regime. But the weight of relief that I had, that this man is alive and looks to be, well-ish, like, it is just that's the bar, that's the floor, the bare minimum. And we should expect more and demand more from America. but this is where we are now. And then tell them about the response from Bukele.
Nayib Bukele, also in a very snarky tweet, then says, "Oh, miraculously risen from quote death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen." So he used this as a propaganda spin. Folks, CCOT is terrible. It is a prison camp. It is a foreign gulag. Nayib Bukele is a tyrannical crypto bro that wants to be tough on crime. It is horrific conditions. So, they dressed him up nicely. They gave him some margaritas. They took some nice photos. And this was because Van Hollen didn't relent, as Danielle said. All it took was one. He went down there. He did not relent. You saw some media ask follow-up questions for the past week of Pam Bondi, of Caroline Levitt, who with crosses right there. Do you see the crosses of both women?
Oh my
These
God.
moral hypocrites. I
It's
wish
just
that
some
cross burned their skin.
handmade bullshit.
Yeah, freaking vampires, right? They literally sat there lying. They said he was a bad father, a bad husband, adding on criminal convictions. Just nonsense. As this man, by the way, was given withholding of removal, as his wife was sitting there saying, "Please, if you listen to us, we haven't forgotten you." So, of course, Nayib Bukele, just like Donald Trump and MAGA, is using this to spin and own the libs and say, "Look, everything's perfectly fine." It isn't, folks, because going back to the other slide, check it out. Look at this slide, and I give you this.
Yep.
This is the reality. So, you know what? I don't care. Let Nayib Bukele, troll us. The fact that Van Hollen did this, we've been talking about it for a while. Fighters will be rewarded. And folks, Van Hollen, I'm not God. I don't know his intentions, but you know what? 2028 is a wide open field, Danielle. And you better believe Van Hollen's name is going to be up there, because in addition to fighting for these immigrants, Van Hollen's also been on the right side when it comes to Palestine.
Yeah. So what has the Trump administration continued to say, and now how they're trying to smear Van Hollen, the senior director for counterterrorism, Sebastian Gorka, says Senator Chris Van Hollen, quote, is on the side of terrorists. And like I continue to say on this show, on the Danielle Moodie show, and others, if in fact you have confirmation, evidence that these people that you have kidnapped from this country are indeed terrorists, then just provide us with the information, because no one would want terrorists in the country. No one would want violent people, right, who, snuck in to commit murder in the country. So if you have the evidence and it's so accurate, then send it. Give it to us. But you don't.
Or, you could just wear a red hat and storm the Capitol, and then you will be pardoned. And in addition to being pardoned, I always want to drop this fact because it's been buried. Donald Trump 2 weeks ago was open to compensating these violent insurrectionists. So if you're paying attention, don't be a brown person who's a citizen, who's driving, not even driving to work, being a passenger in a car driving to work. Don't be Danielle. Don't be me. Don't be a teacher. Don't be a legal immigrant in this country. But you can be a violent insurrectionist. And oh, by the way, don't demand due process for all of these legal immigrants here, because if you do, then you will be aiding terrorism. Also, tell us, Danielle, what is the number one focus for the Attorney General and Sebastian Gorka?
Oh, well, I'm so glad you asked. Pam Bondi, because she takes her job so seriously, breaking. We have made an arrest in connection to the firebombing of a New Mexico Tesla dealership and the March attack on the New Mexico Republican Party headquarters. We will be prosecuting to the fullest extent of the law. We are seeking up to 40 years in prison, no negotiating, because, oh my God, the poor Teslas.
Can't make this stuff up, folks.
And what else? What else is she spending her time on? She is spending her time on this, which is now she wants to bring a lawsuit. DOJ announces a lawsuit to protect women in sports. Did any woman in sports ask her to protect them? No. But once again, these are the things that this administration is up to, and it makes zero sense, but distraction, distraction, distraction.
However, our community's smart. Someone was on top of it. I think it was Becky. Has she moved as fast as the FSU shooter? No, silly Becky. If you're
Boom.
a white male domestic terrorist or a shooter, or you kill children with an assault rifle, as long as you wear a MAGA hat, you are a lone wolf. That is not a problem. The main problem in this country, is a few individuals vandalizing Tesla vehicles. That is domestic terrorism. Oh, not mass shootings in a country that has more mass shootings than any other country on earth. No, not the fact that gun violence is the number one killer of our children and young teens for 2 years in a row. Not the fact that this country allows assault rifles to be bought and sold that tear up the bodies of innocent children. That's okay. We'll tolerate that. We have an insatiable appetite for mass shootings. One is not enough, 1,000 are not enough. But lo and behold, this administration really hasn't spoken out too much about Phoenix Eichner. And tell the world about Phoenix Eichner, Danielle.
Well, Phoenix Eichner, 20-year-old, Florida State University, Tallahassee campus, yesterday opened fire, killing 2 people, injuring, I believe, 6.
Yes.
To boot, Eichner is the son of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy whose gun he used, is a Republican who quotes the Bible and made fun of anti-Trump protesters. And as this person posted on social, not trans, not an illegal immigrant, is anyone at all shocked it was a white MAGA.
And the person who burned down Governor Shapiro's house in an act of arson, also white man. Allegedly, they did it to protest what was happening in Palestine. Nonetheless, it's anti-Semitic act. Why go after Governor Shapiro? I made this tweet and post. Has Donald Trump posted about Governor Shapiro? And to this day, folks,
No.
unless you have some new information, nope. So, recap. Burning down a governor's home with his family inside? White Republican shooter who commits yet another mass shooting? Meh. Number one domestic terror threat in America for several years in a row is right-wing terrorism intersecting with white supremacy. Not a mention of it. Violent insurrection in which white MAGA members beat up cops, smear shit in the U.S. Capitol, and try to assassinate Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi. Not only will you be called a patriot and a hero, you'll be pardoned, and Donald Trump is open to compensating you. But if you are driving while brown, if you are a pro-Palestinian activist, if you're a Turkish grad student, all legally here, writing an op-ed, you will be disappeared for a thought crime or for existing while brown and black in Donald Trump's America.
Not to mention that when Trump was asked by a reporter, these are 2 deceased following, there are 2 deceased following that shooting at Florida State University. Is there any changes you want to see to gun legislation? Trump's literal response, please hold on to your hats, was, look, I'm a big advocate of the Second Amendment. These things are terrible, but the gun doesn't do the shooting. The people do.
And Danielle, did you know what he also said? He also blamed mental health. Oh, now they care about mental health. But guess what? I think it was about 2 years ago that 205 Republicans gutted investment in, you want to take a guess?
Mental health.
Mental health.
Because guess what? It's not about mental health. And also, people can't shoot without guns. So that should have been the follow-up by the reporter when he said, people don't do the shooting. The gun doesn't do the shooting. The people do. People can't shoot without a gun. So chicken and egg, you fucking idiot. Moving on.
But at least the economy is doing well, right?
Right. I was going to say, moving on to the economy, which is doing Wonderful. So reporter says to Trump, "You said the termination of Jerome Powell, who is head of
Fed.
the Fed, cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to." Trump, "Oh, he'll leave if I ask him to. He'll be out of there. I don't think he's doing the job. He's always too late, a little slow." And I'm like, projection much? Too late and a little slow. But the fact here is that, do you know who doesn't want Jerome Powell removed? Wall Street. They don't want him removed. So fact is, it is Donald Trump is beginning to run out of runway on
Yep.
the tanking of the economy. And also, I believe there is an investigation that has been opened because guess who made a ton of money while the economy was down and right before Donald Trump had announced the pause on 75% of tariffs?
People in his administration, Republicans, which probably explains the spike in the graph before he actually reversed and played chicken on his trade war. And that video clip that we played on this show, where he literally points to people who are visiting the Oval
Charles
Office,
Schwab.
people saying Charles Schwab, and the NASCAR owner saying he made like millions of dollars. He made millions of dollars. I don't know.
Yeah.
Throwing it
Also,
out there.
Marjorie Taylor Greene
Oh,
bought out.
bleach,
Yeah.
blonde, bad built butch body. Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome. Uh, okay. So as we round out today, so Waj can go jump in that lovely community pool that he's sitting next to
You
and
know who I
enjoy.
just waved at? There was just this cute little kid who just like knocked on the window. I'm like, what? Do people want me to leave? And he just looked at me. He just waved. So I just waved at him. There's still people here, folks. That's the, don't let the cruelty
That's
of
true.
MAGA and don't let me put it this way. As we're fighting monsters, don't become the monster. It's very important.
Yes.
Test. It's a
It's
test.
important
Very hard.
to still be out and talk to people. And so, here's the thing, folks. I'm not saying there's a lot of writing on the wall. We know that. We see it. We saw it at the beginning of this week. We are all feeling it. Donald Trump next week will enter his 100th day in office. It is hard to believe it has only been 100 days because it genuinely feels like it has been 100 years. But the funny thing is that slowly but surely, Americans are waking up. Tomorrow, there is another protests and food drives that are being organized by the 50-50 movement, which is really important. So you can go to 50-50 one and find a protest or food drive, clothing drive in your area, because it is about building community and connecting with community as well as being in the streets. But people are starting to speak out. People who we never thought actually would say a damn thing, because they spent much of the last 8 and 9 years of Trumpism hailing Donald Trump. So now, conservative New York Times columnist David Brooks calls for, hold on to your hats, folks, national civic uprising to defeat Trumpism, complete with mass rallies and strikes. Looks like somebody caught the woke bug. In a blistering piece published on Thursday, Brooks wrote that modern civilization is buttressed by several pillars, including, quote, constitutions to restrain power, international alliances to promote peace, legal systems to peacefully settle disputes, scientific institutions to cure disease, news outlets to advance public understanding, charitable organizations to ease suffering, businesses to build wealth and spread prosperity, and universities. He went on to say that Trump threatens all of these because the president is only interested in the acquisition of power for its own sake and is engaged in, quote, a multi-front assault to make the earth a playground for ruthless men. Well, welcome, Mr. Brooks.
We live in the upside down when David Brooks is quoting Marx and urging national strikes. We're living in the upside down when Bill Kristol, neoconservative, war hawk, yeah, a person who cheered the George W. Bush administration in the failed war on terror, he said maybe it's time to abolish ICE. I didn't say it. Danielle didn't say it. Bill Kristol said it on Twitter. Folks, it's tough. These are the people who helped create this monster that has turned against them and the country. Lisa Murkowski, with her mealy mouthed, weak, Karen esque, oh, I'm afraid to speak up because of violence. I don't know if you saw that clip when went
I
viral
saw
yesterday.
it.
You didn't see that clip?
I saw it.
Oh, yeah, you saw it, remember? And, well, she didn't name, well, why are you afraid to speak up? Because of MAGA. Because Mitt Romney, the 2012 Republican presidential candidate, let the cat out of the bag a year and a half ago when he said he has to spend his own money hiring private security for his family. And he said it isn't due to the woke bug. It ain't due to Danielle. It ain't due to Antifa. It ain't due to the DIs. It's due to MAGA. And Lisa Murkowski almost got there. She didn't name it. She almost got there. But guess what, folks? What they're experiencing is what the squad has experienced. Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Ilhan Umar, and it hasn't kept them quiet. It's what me and Danielle experienced. It hasn't kept them quiet. So now, these privileged white men who have profited off the hate and chaos, now that they see their white privilege, their wealth, their proximity and closeness to whiteness and power has not protected them, now they're sounding a lot like the woke. Huh. And I will say this because as we head out, someone said, and forgive me, there was a nice comment. I'm forgetting who said it, but someone said, "Well, what can I do, folks?" Um, Everyone has a role to play.
Yep.
Everyone has a role to play. Everyone has a superpower you have to lean in. It's an all hands on deck moment, right? We have the numbers. They do not have the numbers. They're very incompetent. They're very weak. They're fragile. I give you the past 2 weeks when a few people stand up to Donald Trump. He has a weak chin and even weaker knees. I'll give you an example. Harvard learned from the mistake of Columbia, said, you know what? We're not going to bend the knee. And now this is privilege on privilege crime. Let them fight. I love the fact that it's Harvard, the seat of power, because all these MAGA folks who bent the knee, guess what? All these billionaires, guess where they graduated from? Guess where their kids go to school?
Harvard.
Harvard. So Harvard is not bending the knee. And after Harvard stood up, all these other universities followed in line. Compare Harvard to Columbia. Look what they make you give Columbia. Was it worth it?
Mhm.
Look at Costco. Costco refused to bend the knee to the anti-DI initiatives. 13, probably now 14 weeks in a row, as Daniel said, communities held a buy-in. So they said, don't shop at Target, shop at Costco. Costco has had 13 to 14 weeks of increased foot traffic. At the same time, tell them who has a decrease in foot traffic, Danielle.
Target.
Target. Also, a Perkins Coie and a few other law firms said, no, we're not going to bend the knee as all these other top 100 law firms did. Those top 100 law firms like Paul Weiss and Skaden are now toxic in the legal community. Perkins Coie is standing up. Other people are standing up, folks. Senator Van Hollen went. Democrats saw that Senator Van Hollen now might be a leading candidate for president. And they're like, oh, they just saw AOC in a head to head with Chuck Schumer is beating him in 2028.
Correct.
Oh, she just raised a record amount of funds. Oh, her and Bernie, their tour is breaking records. Oh, folks, hope, like courage, is contagious.
Come
Standing
on.
up to the bullies, sometimes you just need to see one person, then 5 other people stand up. So don't give up hope. It's a long walk. There's not going to be a magic switch. Danielle and I are realists. Even if Democrats win in 2026, the damage is so intense. I think this is a generational fight. And the last thing I'll say is, let's be bold. If this is indeed a generational fight, then maybe we can do the generational work that always needed to be done in America, right? I'm not interested in restoration, Danielle. I want reformation. And if it took this to get to reformation, that this is our test. This is our
Mhm.
challenge. Every
Mhm.
generation has a
Mhm.
challenge. And we are not lucky. We are not special. We are not snowflakes. There's no reason why our generation will not be afflicted with conflict and hardships, just like our parents. This is our test. The question is, are you willing to meet the test and the challenge? You have
One
two
hundred.
choices, given to apathy or given give or invest in hope. Apathy is cheap and lazy. Hope requires work. We all have a job to do with the time that we have left. I got kids. They deserve better. That generation deserves better. So we do what we can on Democracy Ish. We use our platforms. We are humanities majors, much to the chagrin of our immigrant parents. Failures. We didn't turn out to be doctors or engineers. Although I married a doctor, this is what we got. We got the word and the pen. So this is what we do at Democracy Ish. We are live Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And I think that Substack Live went so well that Danielle and I are open to probably doing one on Substack
Yes.
Live either Wednesday or Thursday. If you guys
Yeah.
want to let us know. Danielle has started this on her YouTube channel. She started with 0 subscribers in a few months. She now almost has 22,000.
Yep.
Everything is grassroots, folks. We are fools, not stupid. We know how to be capitalists, but we're just fools. So we've kept everything for free because we believe an informed population is necessary to fight fascism. So we're like Blanche Dubois. We depend on the kindness of strangers and all those nice chats. Like, you know, Becky
Yep.
said she came in for the first time. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. Mini, the $4, the $5, the $149, the $199, the $19.99. It goes such a long way. Please donate if you can. Please like this and please subscribe. We have to get Danielle to 25,000.
25,000 is the goal, folks. Waj, thank you so very much. You always do an incredible plug. If you are new here and you have yet to subscribe to the channel, it literally costs you nothing. Just hit subscribe, like, comment, and share as soon as this gets posted. It helps the algorithm. It helps us get into more people's feeds. And again, Waj's Substack, The Left Hook, blew up this week, got 10,000 additional followers, is now at 67,000. And like he said, he keeps his Substack free. And we have pay options. So for folks that are interested in wanting to support independent media and support our work and make that part of your activism, do consider becoming monthly paid subscribers on both of our Substacks. Waj is The Left Hook, and mine is the Damn Digest. Again, this is the work that we do. This is not a hobby for us. This is a calling for the both of us, and you all allow us to continue to do the work that we feel is integral to building a true multiracial democracy. So
it's me. It's in the Poconos right now. It's kind of beautiful. I was thinking about posting it since I'm leaving. Now that I mentioned I'm in the Poconos because we're leaving after this, but it's as my wife forced me and her friend and her kids to go. Their kids had a great time. It's like me, 800 Hasidic Jews, like 6 Black families, and an Asian family. It's
America.
It's hilarious. And can you imagine my kids with Hasidic Jewish kids playing laser tag? All the kids
I
have
love
fun,
it.
man. Kids are kids.
I love it.
You know, people have the potential to be decent and good. So tap into that, folks.
Thank you for listening to Democracy Ish. I'm Danielle Moodie.
I'm Wajahat, coming from a community pool in the Poconos Mountains.
Look, evil don't sleep, so we can't either. We will be back on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern, dear friends. We will see you then. Have a happy, healthy, and safe weekend. Do something that brings you joy. Connect with community, with family. If you're celebrating the Easter holiday, happy Easter to you. And we will see you on Monday. Be well.